Hey guys, Mr. Lloyd here, going to work with you on page 2 from Tuesday's 3 pages. So this is page 2 of 3, and it says 6-2 homework up top. And you can see here we're going to find the volume of these different shaped rectangular prisms. So we'll go through this together. The nice thing about this page I found is that the computation part of this, in other words, the big math problems where you have to do a whole bunch of steps, they're actually pretty minimal on today's work. So here we're looking at problem 1, and we're going to find the volume of this unit cube. Remember, volume is found by multiplying length, width, and height for a rectangular prism. So here we just have 1 times 1 times 1. So like I said, not a whole lot of computation, pretty straightforward. We just get 1 unit cubed. Here we've got same thing, length times width times height, 1 times 1 times 1/3. Well, that just is 1/3. So I didn't really even need to show a lot of work there because, again, it's just 1 times a fraction, which is the same fraction. So not too big of a deal there. Here we start to get into different measurements where we're multiplying fractions, 1/3 times 1/3 times 1. And you can see my work there. I get 1/9 unit cubed. And it's always important to remember that power, the exponent 3, tells us that we're multiplying the length, the measurement by the measurement by the measurement, or the measurement by itself 3 times, and that's where that 3 comes from. So don't forget that. And then here you can see prism F, 1/3 times 1/3 times 1/3. My work is up here in green on the top, and you can see I work my way down and I get 1/27. Remember, when you're working through these, kids, try to just do one step per line. So on this first step, I just did 1/3 times 1/3. That's 1/9 times 1/3. So I just do one operation per line. That saves me a lot of headaches. It's a lot easier to go back. If you make a mistake, it's a lot easier to go back and see your mistake. So number 2 looks the same. I'm going to kind of just leave the video paused here for just a second so you can take a look here. Again, not a lot of computation on most of these. Didn't need to multiply the first one. But remember, when we're finding volume, it's length times width times height. Okay. So here we go, and again on number 4 here, I'm just doing one step per line. Remember, when I'm multiplying fractions, I multiply my top times my top and my bottom times my bottom. So 3 times 1 and 4 times 4 gives me 3/16, and then 3/16 times 1/3 ultimately gives me 3/48, which simplifies to 1/16. Okay, on to number 5 here. Same type of problem here. Didn't need to do a whole lot of multiplication. These are just with decimals instead of fractions, but it's the same process. Remember, multiplying decimals, just track that place value. Be careful about multiplying decimals. And there you can see my work there. I'm not going to go through all these step by step because, again, they get really repetitive. Okay. To show you problem 8, I'm going to show you my work on a notebook paper, because this one was one where I couldn't really show you the work in the amount of space that the paper provided. So the question really is asking how many little cubes fit inside this larger box. And we have some measurements for these, for little and larger, and I'll show you here. But to figure it out, we need to find the volume of the cube and the box and then divide. So you can see here in blue, I found the volume of the box. These measurements are just taken from the worksheet. Okay, so 7 halves, 5 halves, 7 halves, 5 halves, and 1/2. Multiply them all together, and you ultimately get this measurement of 4 3/8 inches cubed. That's the volume of the larger box. And then the volume of the little cube, it tells me each edge is 1/2 inch long. So I multiply it together, and I get a volume for the cube of 1/8 of an inch. Now, I have these two measurements, but what do I do with them? I have to divide the little cube into the big box and see how many times it fits in. So here's my division here. 4 3/8 divided by 1/8. Okay, so the first step I need to do is convert my mixed number, 4 3/8, into an improper fraction. This should look pretty familiar. And once I do that, I just carry out my division, and I get an answer of 35. Okay, and just have a few seconds left to show you the final answer for number 9. Number 9, there are many different ways you could have answered number 9. It's just asking you, how could you have a volume of 8/100 feet cubed? And here you can see my A and B. Your answers may vary on that one. Don't sweat that problem too much. Thank you for watching this video. I'll be posting the third video very shortly.